Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Golf Insider webcast and podcast. I'm Jeff Bergerson. My screen name on daily fantasy sites is JT Bergerson, joined as always by my partner, Zach Turcotte, whose name is mysteriously. We are with fantasygolfinsider.com. If you haven't signed up for our premium package, be sure to check us out. There's a lot of good tools on there and top-notch information that we think you should have. This broadcast is also available as a podcast on iTunes. If you want to go on there and subscribe to us, give us a good review. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you know exactly when our video comes out every week. Zachary, how was last week at Pebble Beach?
Well, before we get to Pebble Beach, we've got some big announcement I'm sure most of you guys have seen on Twitter already. We are sitting here in the presence of greatness. We have the top fantasy golf writer in the world.
Oh, in the world.
In the world, basically, right here.
Yeah.
Jeffrey won the FSWA Golf Writer of the Year award. Last week, we were very excited. That was a goal that we had set for ourselves when we first started the site. We knew that if we could just keep working at it over the year, we knew the content that we were delivering was really good, and so we wanted to make sure that we focused on that, and now we've been recognized from the industry for that. So big shout out to Jeffrey here. We should have a trophy on display in the next couple of weeks for that. So very exciting stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then as for the tournament,
yeah,
what'd you think about Pebble Beach?
I was kind of happy to see Phil lose at the end. That was good.
Oh, you were happy?
I didn't have him that highly on too many of my rosters. I have a few $3 teams. I actually did have a Vaughn Taylor, Phil Mickelson 1-2 punch on a $3 roster that ended up in about 900th place in the $3 due to the other guys just not playing particularly well. But yeah, it made me laugh. As soon as they flashed up the statistic for Phil of he's made 23 out of 23 inside of 6 feet this week. I just figured it's not about a 50-50 that this thing is going to roll out.
Yep.
And sure enough, it did. It was a tough tournament. A lot of my value guys right in the middle got shot down pretty hard that I had on some of my cash lineups. Although I was able to rally back, the model put out a very nice optimal lineup last week that had both JB Holmes and Patrick Reed on it, and I played that as one of my two teams for the week. And Patrick Reed's run on Sunday took me into the money on that one. So I had a little loss. I played in 2 of the $300 GPPs. I think he played in a couple of those as well, and didn't have the greatest of luck stacking. I think one team I stacked Day and DJ, and the other team I had Spieth on it. And really, none of those guys looked like Day was going to make the run. If anybody was going to make a run on the final day, I would have thought it would have been Jason Day there when he got to -10, but he really didn't. DJ, I think he got bored after the first round or two.
I don't know what to think of DJ.
When he knows he's not going to compete, he just doesn't make the big runs to get back into contention.
But why isn't he competing? Why isn't he better?
I mean, he's just kind of sleepwalking through the last 2 days.
Yeah.
It didn't even really look like he wanted to make the cut on Saturday. Him and Spieth were both right on the line. You know, at least Spieth showed up a little bit on Sunday and posted a -6 to get back, I think, into the top 20 when he was -7 finishing up. So it didn't really go as previous years had. And most of the previous years, you'd seen the elite guys, you'd see 4 or 5 of them right there at the top. And it was the guys who had the most experience. This year, it was a lot of guys who you hadn't necessarily seen up there before, who did pretty well. Vaughn Taylor in particular.
Vaughn Taylor, okay. You're gonna do that to me, Vaughn Taylor?
You want to have a moment to talk about that?
I'll issue a formal apology. Sure. All right. Chip, could you please zoom in here so my sincerity comes through the camera? Vaughn Taylor, on our last webcast, I referred to you as dog shit. You went out and you won a PGA Tour event, which is an amazing accomplishment, especially since you had withdrawn and missed the cut in your three previous appearances, 2 of which were on the web.com tour. You didn't care that you missed the cut 2 of the last 3 times at Pebble Beach. You disregarded that and finished in front of the likes of Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, Justin Rose. You also disregarded the fact that you're almost 40 years old and haven't won in over a decade. You didn't care about all that. So for that, Vaughn Taylor, I hope that you will accept my most sincere and humble apology, and I promise never ever to call you dog shit again. Thanks, Chip.
Nice. There you go. So you're not going to doubt him anymore then, huh?
I will never doubt Von Taylor. I probably won't ever pick him either, but I'm not going to doubt him anymore.
My hopes so. You kind of crushed my hopes when I brought him up last week. Somebody actually sent us the clip of the video today over that 30 seconds so we could be reminded again and again and again of the fact that we mentioned him, and then he ended up winning the event. It's kind of that dark magical power that we have.
We do have that magical power.
Certain players. So it was an exciting event. Once they kind of got past all the BS of the first couple days.
Did you like the amateurs? Do you like that?
I didn't really even watch. I'd rather watch just on my phone. What I really enjoyed was the PGA Tour Live broadcast where they picked up JJ Henry, Colton Oast,
that was
Hunter,
a stacked
Mahan on the first day, and I just thought, did they? No, I guess they didn't even have cameras at the other two courses.
No, a lot of Chris Berman shots. Did you like those?
No, I didn't watch. I didn't see any of that.
I did mention I was on with Jeff Manns and Tommy G on Sirius XM, and I had just watched PGA Tour Live, and I saw Kevin Na lining up for a chip from the fringe, and in comes Kenny G coming to mark his ball or something right in front of Kevin Na. It was hilarious. Na chunks it. He kind of looks around. Kenny G's like, "Oh yeah, sorry."
Were they teammates too?
I don't know if they were teammates, but they were obviously playing together. And Na was not too happy, just kind of shaking his head. And
that's funny because Kenny G is actually a pretty good golfer.
He is a decent golfer. It's just
he should know it. He should know the etiquette. What I mean, he should know the etiquette.
The announcer goes, "Oh, that's kind of awkward."
Yes, a little bit.
Classic.
Thank God we're finally through all the little Pro-Am events, the 3-day tournaments, 3 days before the cut, and switching courses, and it's just these beginning of the year tournaments all are a little awkward as you're trying to figure out which guy is going to be on which course on which day. Where is the weather going to affect certain people more? Weather wasn't really a huge factor overall.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that big a factor. And I think we're going to get back to normal. Now we've had a couple of weird weeks where, hell, Von Taylor wins an event. It's kind of like a Troy Merritt winning last year, and then Troy Merritt goes back to obscurity after winning an event.
Taylor will be okay.
We'll see.
I think he'll be all right. I mean, he had that run last year, and and now he's going to
his run. But I mean, his run, he had one top 10 in his run or something like that. It's not like he made
like 7 or 8
winning
straight
tournaments.
No. But he was a very strong cut maker that we could depend on in the 6,000 range, and potentially he could be that guy for this season again. He's going to get the shot now, which is interesting. So he's going to be on there for the rest of the season. So we'll see him another 20 times or so. So he'll really get a chance this year to kind of prove if it was a fluke or if he's got something else left in him. And it's interesting this week because I kind of would have liked him a little bit this week. If he would have just had a really good performance last week or just made the cut and looked all right.
Oh, I'm sure nobody will own him this week.
That's just it. The secret's kind of ruined on that one now, so it's tough to go back there. But no, I was happy for him. It's exciting. I mean, the guy had only won $400,000 or $500,000 on the actual PGA Tour in his entire career. Yesterday, he wins like 1.2, 1.3 million for the prize pool. So
surprisingly, nobody had him in any of my one and done leagues.
Oh, jeez, wow, really? They weren't on board.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it was a good event overall, and a little bit frustrating. Those middle range guys just didn't show up at all. Summer Hayes missed his first cut. Right. Hahn, who had looked so good all season, he misses his first cut. Ryan Moore looked just disgustingly bad. So a lot of those guys right in the middle. I know a lot of people out there that had McGirt. I didn't have McGirt, but a lot of those people they had on McGirt, he completely felt. It wasn't like these guys missed by one or two strokes either. I mean, they were
embarrassing.
They just missed. So that middle range. That middle range again has been just filled with landmines, right around that $7,400, $7,500 range. Right. Each week it seems like 3 or 4 of those guys who've been so trustworthy kind of blow up. So that did hurt a little bit, but overall winning the one cash game, cashed it in on a few GPPs. Not a horrible week. It wasn't quite as bad as it was setting up to be going into Saturday. So I was happy about that.
Shall we turn the page?
Yeah.
Goodbye, Pebble, please.
And we're staying in California, though.
We'll stay in California, but let's do our shots of the week.
All right.
We got a couple doozies this week. The first one was nominated by a friend of ours, Corey Jones, who many of you know by his DFS name as PacFan990. We hung out with Corey in Boston at the Fantasy Golf World
He
Championships.
also had 2 entries out
He
there.
had 2 entries. He's a great dude, super cool guy. We enjoyed hanging out with him.
Very entertaining family.
Yeah, he's got great family too. And we've also found out that he's not a Green Bay Packer fan.
Yeah, which
that
made
the
him even
Pack
better.
fan is NC State Wolf Pack.
Right.
So we like him even more. But and Corey nominated Kevin Na, who I'm sure blew up a lot of lineups, including my own.
One of mine, yeah.
Yep. He collapsed on Friday and Saturday. He shot a 7 over 79, including a 4-putt, which Corey specifically cited on the par 4 fourth hole, which is awful.
Yeah.
He blew up I had about 25% exposure to Kevin Na last week. So once I saw Corey, and we got a picture of him right here, yeah, I knew that he was nomination worthy.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you want to do your shot to him?
I think you'll take that one.
All right, I'll
Seems
take
like
that one.
He hurt you more. Who am I going to do mine to?
You want to know?
Yeah, I'd like to.
All right.
Are you going to finish this?
Oh,
Jesus Christ. It is a whole shot.
I have to talk. You're just sitting there.
I know it's been a long day. He needs his rest. All right.
The second shot of the week comes courtesy of a guy named Joe Affronti. Now, are you familiar with Joe Affronti, Zachary?
In scrolling past his name as fast as possible.
Unless you were at
right.
the dead bottom of the leaderboard, you might not be familiar with Joe's.
He's like a play.
Hold on, I'm getting to it.
Okay, yeah, I know where this is going. You could do a lot of shots for this guy. I was wondering how this was even possible, actually.
Yeah. So for those of you who didn't see it, through 3 rounds of golf, our friend Joe Affronti shot an amazing, a staggering 33 over par, including an astonishing 16 over par in his 3rd round.
That's amazing. You got to figure there's a couple amateurs out there who beat that score pretty easily.
It's so bad. Let me just put it in perspective how bad it is. He missed the cut by 33 strokes. He was 9 shots worse than the next worst player at 24 over par.
That's outrageous.
The leader after 3 rounds was Phil Mickelson, who was 16 under par. And that's a difference of 49 shots.
It's unbelievable.
Now, I'm a golfer, and I don't pretend to be a very good golfer.
Sure you do.
I do not, but that is, I can't fathom another player on the PGA Tour with 2 arms and 2 legs that could be 49 shots worse than anybody else.
Wow.
I played with some pretty bad players, including yourself, but I don't think I've ever seen such a big differential with playing. So
that is pretty special.
So do you want to do a shot to Joe Affronti?
To Joe and the tour card that he probably is not going to have for very long.
Be sure to submit your shots of the week every week with a picture of you taking your shot like Corey did this week, and we'll likely use it if it's good enough. So, Wacky Wagers, Zachary. You want to touch on Wacky Wagers, or you just want to skip right over that?
Yeah, it didn't go very well again. It looked like, at one point it looked like I was going to get 6 players through the cut. And then at one point it looked like I might get 0 players through the cut. All of them danced right on the line for the week, which was frustrating. Spieth actually ended up making it through the cut, so I ended up getting 3. Unfortunately, my opponent, the 4 that PGA DFS got through the cut, most of them did well. He had Freddie Jacobson up there. He had Patrick Reed up there. So you had a couple guys who really took off towards the end, which buried the 3 guys. So he got 4 through, I got 3 through, and he beat me pretty severely. So it was another unpleasant week on the Wacky Wagers side. So that pushes the record to 2-3, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's all right. On to better things this week. We've got Daniel Worth, one of our oldest and dearest of fans, one of our most staunch of supporters. He's putting up a Ray Allen Milwaukee Bucks autographed poster card or of some type.
Nice.
So I'm excited. We want to win that. That'll look good here on the set someplace. So that'll be exciting. We play heads up quite a bit as it is, so it should be a lot of fun. And then the week after that, we've got Ryan Sablotny. He's going to put up a cowboy hat.
Sweet.
So that's pretty cool. So we've got the next couple weeks lined up, and then we actually had we had a couple other folks who are jumping on there. So make sure that you get your Wacky Wagers out there. Get in line here, because there are starting to be a few people who are getting in. Maybe if we get enough, maybe we'll pull you into it too, and we'll be able to do a couple each week.
It's a pretty popular segment. People like it a lot.
It's been a lot of fun. So yeah.
Good deal. On to the Northern Trust Open this week. It's a tournament that I like personally. It's at Riviera Country Club.
Great event.
7,322 yards, yet it's a par 71. So it's a more difficult track. It's a long, tough course. The expected cut line should be probably around even par.
Even or plus one.
Maybe even plus, yep. So, of course, this is the first time we're going to see Rory McIlroy on U.S. soil, which is pretty exciting. Sergio Garcia also coming over with some other European guys for the first time. Charles Schwartzel, Andy Sullivan. Wiesberger, yep. So
guys who screwed us last year.
We'll see if it happens again this year. It's in Pacific Palisades, California. Key stats this week. Tell me if you want to add or subtract anything, Zachary. I think ball striking's a key stat this week. Strokes gained, tee to green. I like scrambling this week. I like par 5 scoring, strokes gained putting after all of those, and birdie or better percentage.
Those sound like pretty much the standard ones to go with each week. There really hasn't been a week where you couldn't start with tee to green, putting, birdie or better.
Right.
I mean, those three, you start with those three each week, and you weight those somewhere around 60% between those three. You're going to be off and running for the most part, and then it's just a matter of looking over the course to kind of piece together the other couple. But yeah, I think that's a good place for us to start.
So we'll do our allocations on our model on our website, but be sure to go on, check it out, and you can also download it to your own and adjust the weightings as you see fit and how you'd like to too, because it's totally interactive, and gotten a lot of good feedback on our model, and it's produced some pretty good results.
It's been great. It's pretty consistent so far. I think there's been 1 or 2 weeks where the optimal lineup out of there didn't cash, but for the most part, if you play that optimal lineup in a cash game each week, it's been pretty money for us. Going back to when we started doing beta tests in the fall, I think we've had about 70% or so win percentage, which is still kind of a limited time frame, but yeah, it's been good so far.
So top tier, who are we looking at this week?
Yeah, well, I want one other quick thing I think we should touch on before the week is the strategy that people want to be looking at, because coming up until this point, we've had a lot of strange tournaments. You've had 3 rounds before the cut, 2 courses, 3 courses here and there. We've had some very high scoring types of courses. This is really the first week we get a real premium field. I mean, we get a lot of those top players are going to stay who were there last week, and then there's going to be an injection of other guys who are there at the top. And these strong fields with strong courses tend to bring out the strongest of players.
It's not going to be a mishmash like the last couple of weeks toward the leaderboard.
Which means that this week, so the last few weeks we've been talking about kind of shifting a little bit away from cash and more towards GPP exposure, and then maybe taking your bankroll down a little bit. I think this would be one of those weeks where we actually say, play your regular bankroll, play your regular percentage, play more cash games than GPPs. The cash games in weeks like this, weeks like the major tournaments during the season, weeks like the Players' Championship, the majors, these real strong field events tend to be the best times to win cash.
Less variance,
Exactly. So I think when you're looking at a good top-to-bottom kind of strategy, just think of it from that perspective. It would be tempting probably to just throw in all the GPP teams like you've been doing the last few weeks, but really this is a good chance to make some money in cash games. So I would start with that as far as the strategy goes.
Good stuff.
Looking at the top, it's a little higher price this week than the last couple of weeks.
It is, at least the top 2.
They jumped those guys up, which is interesting. We've got both Spieth and Rory at the top at 13-2. We had a little bit of debate going on before the show tonight. You think that Spieth is still going to hold quite a bit of ownership this week?
I think Spieth should be probably 17 or 18%, I think. Fair. And we disagree on Rory McIlroy's ownership percentage, and you already owe me a steak dinner from before. So if you'd like to go double or nothing, we can.
I think 10 or 11.
No. You said 10. Don't say 11 now. So you have 10.
Well, if you're over, then I win. So
this isn't the Price is Right. No, this is not the Price is Right. So Zachary is going with 10%. I'm going to say 15% for Rory, because I just think people see a shiny new toy. It's their first chance at picking Rory. I think they get excited by that. So I'm saying 15%. You're saying 10%. You might owe me 2 fillets.
I'm gonna make that 11.
You can't.
I just made it 11%.
No, you cannot.
Yep. That way, if it's 13, then it's a push. Yep.
No. Not fair.
It's going to be closer to 10, though. I do think it'll be closer to 10.
Well, that's the bet. That's why we're betting, because that's what you think.
It's his first. It's his first time over here. So people haven't seen him for a while.
Right.
You've got a lot of other guys that are up here who've got course history. I mean,
yeah, I agree. There are a lot of options.
You've got DJ below that who hasn't been great this year, but he's got a lot of big finishes here at this course. You've got DJ there. Hideki just won a week ago. You've got Rose, who looked really good last week. Jimmy Walker, Bubba won here a couple of years ago. So it's going to be hard for me to think that any of these guys at the top are really going to be rushed in on the way we've seen the last few years. Last week we saw Spieth
at 30%,
at 30, and DJ at 30%.
And we've seen Reed at 30. We've seen Jimmy Walker near 30 in one of those weeks.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of these.
That's not going to happen this week.
Reed, so we've seen a lot of those guys. It's going to be, with the quality of the field there and the top 10 guys or so that are playing, the ownership's going to be pretty well dispersed.
For GPP purposes, who in that top group is going to be the lowest, do you think?
Well, I think it's going to kind of look, if you go by sectors, then I would have to say, if you look at just the group, it'll be Rose. Rose always seems to be the guy who people overlook. But I think Rory will be a little bit lower. I don't think him and DJ will be that much different this week. I think Rory, just because of the price, if you go up to 13-2, now you're not giving yourself a lot of leeway in terms of the rest of your lineup is concerned. You only have, 7,400 for each of your guys the rest of the way. And there's plenty of talent that's out there in the lower ranks. But I think that Rory will be a little bit lower. I think that Rose will be a little bit lower.
Who do you like up there in that group? Are you dropping down from the top 5 or 6 guys? Or are you going to bank on one of those big guys?
For GPP purposes, I think I'm going to stick with Rory because I think he will be the guy that people are going to stay away from a little bit. If I can get in on a $300 GPP this week where Rory is around 10% owned, let's run with that. Let's go with that. I think Spieth probably will be up in the 15 to 20% range. But if I can get Rory, that's about as low as you're going to get Rory all season. As soon as he puts together a nice little run here where he wins a few events, top 10s and a bunch of events, he's going to become more and more highly owned. So I think if I can get Rory, just with DJ's form hasn't quite been there yet for me, so I don't know that I want to pay for him. So I like Rory to start off my biggest GPP lineups. I'll have a pretty good mixture of Spieth and Rory in the $3, and then I'll probably use a little bit of Hideki because I think Hideki's been playing really well. I think this course suits him really
definitely
well
does
as well.
But I think his ownership could be creeping up 15 to 20%.
You think it'll be over 15?
I do, because he's coming off obviously the win. He's got great tournament history. He fits well in this tournament, and I think people will probably dip a little bit from those top 3 guys since they're so expensive.
Yeah, and I think the guy that people are probably going to dip to for GPP that they're going to want to get in their lineup is going to be JB Holmes.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just been super consistent over the year. He keeps turning in top 10 finishes. He hasn't been especially amazing at this tournament the last few years, but if you look back...
Before that,
If you look back, he does have a lot of top 10 finishes at this event. And at 9,800, that's sort of the line, I think, this week. Right around there, or maybe Sergio, where you're going to want to start like your cash game lineups.
Could Holmes be the fade of the week?
He could. He was last season. He had a couple events, 2-3, where he came in off of a win or off of a second place finish. Remember at the Masters last year, he had a lot of people that were on him after he won at where did he win? He won down in somewhere. Was it Texas?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think he won the Shell. Yeah, he won the Shell last year. Yep. So Walker won Valero, and then JB won the Shell. So coming into the Masters, he'd won the week prior.
Right.
He had the second place finish at Doral. So
and his price was pretty cheap at Masters too.
So everybody was in on him. He was the big value play that everybody was in on, and then boom, he blew up and missed the cut.
I would keep that in the back of your mind because I think he's going to get hyped a lot this week.
Yeah.
He's a pretty reasonable price, and everything looks to be good for Holmes. So
maybe stay away from him a little bit in GPPs.
I think intentionally fade him on some, sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still do like him because everything does, point to him.
I mean, if you drop down right there too, and this is a perfect illustration of, okay, so you see the high-owned guy right there. He's at 9,800 with JB Holmes. So what do you do then? Well, you drop down. Who's the guy below him? Who's the guy right above him? Well, right below him is Charles Schwartzel, who nobody has seen this year. All the novices, this could be a brand new guy for a lot of the novices out there. They may not even who's this Charles Schwartzel guy?
Right.
And he's actually got a couple wins on the European tour of late. I mean,
some
they're
pretty
not
scrub events. But.
Yeah, the Schwani or whatever, Open. We won
South African,
won
whatever.
the Dunhill. Yeah, it wasn't. These were not marquee events.
But he's had good success
wins.
here before.
Yes, he does. He's at a couple top 10 finishes here. So I think if you wanted to drop down, I think that'd be a great contrarian play because he's going to be probably less than 10%. He's probably at like 6 to 8% in terms of ownership, whereas JB Holmes, I definitely can envision him being close to 20.
Close to 20?
Yeah, exactly. So I like that in terms of a pivot play. You could drop down. What do you think? You think you back with Adam Scott yet?
I don't know. I don't think I can do it. I'm not ready yet.
So I think good.
He hasn't been very good.
No, he hasn't really done anything special. I'm just not willing to pay for it until I see some amount of consistency. I mean, last year he had flashes, but I'm not going to look at him for flashes on there.
I think there's just too many good options down, even in the middle tier, that are presenting good value. Who do you like in the middle tier?
Well, if you go all the way down to 8,100, we have Harris English, who's been playing well in the last few weeks. He's had three for three in terms of making the cut at 8,100. I think he is a fantastic cash play. I think he's got enough upside as well to be in some GPP lineups. And if you're going to start a lineup with a Spieth or with a Rory, you can still fit in a guy like English at 8,100. You can still get him into your lineup. So I like English at 8,100. He'd be a good starting point for cash games. Another guy that I like who's been good to us some of the time is Brendan Steele at 8,300. He's another guy who's always got top 20 potential.
He does.
He does have some blow-up potential. I mean, about 20% of the time, he's just going to blow up and piss you off. But he has a pretty good tournament history here. He took 14th and 10th, I think, the last two times out here. It was 17th just the other week at Phoenix, so he seems like he's in form at 8,300.
The average price is pretty appealing.
Another great cash
a lot of
play.
upside.
So I mean, if you start your cash games right there with guys like Steele and English, it gives you a ton of room to work around. There. So those are the guys I like in that range. Anybody else in the 8,000s that you want to talk about?
Obviously, Kevin Na had a price decrease with his exit last week. I wouldn't be scared to roster him at 8,000. He doesn't have a tremendous history here,
but 8,000, that's such a nice price.
It is such a nice price.
Player like that. It's kind of like what we saw with Bill Haas last week at 8,200.
He's a cut maker, or he just missed one cut last week, so I'm not afraid of Kevin Na at all. Dropping down, even I like a couple of guys. I like Danny Lee, and I like Matt Jones in the upper sevens as well.
Lee's another guy whose tournament history for the third week in a row, you're going to look at it and you think, oh, I don't want anything to do with it. But he's a completely different player this year.
Exactly.
And as he's shown you the last couple of weeks, he's a guy who can be in contention at just about any event that he is in. So at the price that he's at, you get a bargain again this week. I mean, you wouldn't have guessed that after the last couple of weeks, his price would still be, kind of coming down this week. So that's another nice bargain. I do like Danny Lee down there as well.
Let's drop down further.
Drop down. A guy that I like who you scoff at, Luke Donald.
Oh, Luke, I thought you were going to say Vaughn Taylor.
Well, that'll be another one. But Luke Donald's another guy that Jeff just hates.
Yeah, I don't like Luke Donald at all.
But he's had a nice tournament history here. I think he is kind of getting back to the Luke Donald of old. We're seeing, and we've talked about it before, he looked tired at the end of last year. And then he had a bit of a resurgence, decided he was going to kind of recommit himself a little bit. And we've seen that, and he had a nice week last week. He was poised to finish in the top 10 before he went double bogey on his last couple holes, and he finished 26th for the week. But he does have a pretty respectable tournament history here at 7,500. I think that's a great price for him. So I like Luke Donald. A lot of the guys that I'm favoring in this range, and this is a really key point too, a lot of the guys that I'm going to favor this week at a tournament with a course as tough as Riviera are guys who have more tournament experience, guys who have been here before, guys who know the course. Because the guys who have made their debut here, even though a lot of the real popular guys last year, I think Thomas made his first appearance here last year, he was 41st. Finau was like 56th. A lot of guys missed the cut last season. So I could definitely see that for some of these, and this has been the range where guys have been blowing up as it is. So if I have the opportunity, I'm going to lean towards more experienced guys who do know the course a little bit better, as opposed to some of the the big rookies that we've looked at who've been really good for us over the first couple months of the season. But I think this will be the course that starts to challenge them a little bit.
Let's talk sleepers. Let's say 7,000-ish and under. Anyone's leaping out to you as a as a quality play.
You're putting it on me to say it first, but I think I'm going to say Charlie Hoffman.
Charlie Hoffman.
I'm going to say it. Yeah, I think it's 6,900.
You and I actually agree on this.
We do. I mean, if you look at the way,
which is really scary.
I know.
We're screwed.
Right. He's going to get annihilated. But if you look at it from the price versus Vegas odds, he ranks very high.
Very high.
He's one of the most underpriced guys that's in the field. I mean, it's not a phenomenal tournament history here, but he's certainly a guy who's going to make more cuts than he misses at an event like this. And when he does make the cut, he does have the potential, as we've seen up close and personal, to be a guy who finishes in the top 15, the top 20 kind of event. And so you get a lot for him at 6,900. I mean, he was 30th last year and 12th the year before.
Right.
Hasn't been
good lately.
Great this season, but it seems like the last 2 weeks, the last two events that he's played in, he's made the cut.
He has
for
made
each
the
of
cut,
those,
and
so
he's a guy who
he's
does.
streaky.
Yeah, when he can come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and he's got a lot of upside and a GPP play.
Yes.
I don't have him in any cash because I think he's just too risky.
Wild. You don't know if he's going to be competing to win or if he's going to be like plus 10.
Right.
I mean, he could go either direction.
Right.
A lot of times, so I think he's a decent starting point. Who do you like down there?
A couple of guys. One guy could be a little sneaky is John Merrick. Does he do anything for you?
You're saying that because he won here. Then.
He did win here. His last two events, he's been pretty good on the Web.com tour.
He's a local guy as well.
He is a local guy, went to UCLA. He's got 2 straight top 15s on the Web.com tour.
Okay.
I think he's got a chance at 7,000. He'll be owned by 5% or under, obviously.
Like 2.
So
yeah, like 2.
I think that's a reasonable chance. How about Andrew Loop at 6,700? Does he do anything for you?
He's an interesting player. He's a guy that I wrote up last week who ended up making the cut. I think he's a guy who's getting ready to take the big steps this season. We're going to see some. He's already had 3 top 10 finishes.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see at least a few more out of him this year. You're probably going to get a couple blowups, but it looks like he's starting to become a little bit more consistent than in previous years. We'd see flashes and then it would go away for 3 or 4 weeks. So
and he's a high upside guy.
Yeah.
He also ranked very high on our sportsbook odds versus DraftKings pricing tool.
It's a good GPP play.
Yep, I agree. So I'm waiting for him to break out. Anyone else down below even?
Couple guys.
Okay.
Couple guys at 6,600. We've got Jason Gore, who's been 8 out of 8 making cuts this season, and he's been making cuts at courses that he previously had not done particularly well at.
Right.
So I like that quite a bit. It looks like he's really found his game. He's mostly just been a cut maker. I mean, he really hasn't challenged seriously to win a lot of events yet, but I still like the consistency. We haven't seen that out of him in a long time. So I like Gore at 6,600. And if we're looking for a bounce back play, we drop down. We've got Daniel Summerhays at 6,500.
Right.
Absolutely annihilated cash game and GPP
he was
teams.
Awful.
You know, he had been perfect up until that point. So he'd been so dependable, which just built more and more momentum for him. And then he just crushed it last week by the time the end of the first round had taken place. So he's a guy at 6,500 who I think is also kind of underpriced. He's made the cut here the last couple times out with decent finishes. And so I don't mind. I think I am a little bit hesitant to go back to him in cash, I guess, just due to the fact that you want to see if it was a 1 week sort of thing and he comes back, or if it starts to become a little bit of a trend. But I can definitely see putting him into a decent amount of GPP teams at 6,500, especially if I want to start putting teams together with Spieth and Roy at the top. So I think those are all decent plays in terms of what we have to look for with sleepers.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's
anything else?
No. You don't want to swear at anybody or call anybody names?
No, I won't this week.
Okay.
I might next week.
All right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Perfect.
Join Zach on Periscope on Wednesday night at 9-ish, whenever he decides to roll into it. Also, feel free to email us directly with any questions on strategy, roster composition, bankroll management, info@fantasygolfinsider.com. Another week, another webcast. We'll see what happens this week at Northern Trust.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be a good event.
Good luck, everybody, and thanks for being loyal members of Fantasy Golf Insider. We truly do appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Good luck.
Come on.
I didn't think you wanted me that fired up.
Come on.
I'm
Get fired up. Get there. Come on.
You ready? Do we need some music?
Are you ready, Chip?
Jeff is the champion.